Hi, welcome to Dave's News. And to my left is Jarek.
And we are introducing you to the first radio broadcast where we mix Canadian music with new and interesting technology. Our first song today is from a man named Dan Smith, When the Seed is Planted, from 1976.
Rain begins to grow so very tall, and when by train the grain arrives to the miller at the wheel, pounds it to the flour for this very sacred meal. We believe, and it always happens with the loving help of the Lord. We believe, and it always happens with the loving help of the Lord. And his song. When the seed is planted and rain begins to fall, can it be that vines begin to grow so very tall? When the grapes are ripening, they are sent out to be crushed. The vine in time becomes the wine, then to the table rushed. We believe, and it always happens with the loving help of the Lord. We believe, and it always happens with the loving help of the Lord and his Son. When the seed is planted, love from heaven falls. Can it be this love begins to grow in one and all? When we leave this banquet in remembrance of his Son, thank the Lord for all these things. In this mystery we are one. We believe, and it always happens with the loving help of the Lord and his Son. And it always happens with the loving help of the Lord and his Son. And it always happens with the loving help of the Lord and his Son.
Once again, that was Dan Smith, courtesy of Fantasy Sound.
The next song is Black Flies. If you know all about them, you've been to Canada.
Twas early in the spring when I decided to go for to work up in the woods up in North Ontario. The unemployment office said they'd send me through to the little Epitippi with the survey crew. And the black flies, little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black flies picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. Now the man in black Toby was the captain of the crew, and they said, I'm gonna tell you boys what we're gonna do. They want to build a power dam, and we must find a way to make the Epitippi flow around the other way. But the black flies, little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black flies picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. So we survey to the east and we survey to the west, and we couldn't make our minds up how we ought to do it best. Little Abba-Tibby, what shall I do? I'm all but going crazy with the survey crew and the black flies. Little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black flies picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. It was the black fly, the black fly, the black fly everywhere. They thoroughly enjoyed a crawling all through your hair. Swimming in the soup and a swimming in the tea. Oh, the devil took the black fly and let me be. Oh, the black fly, little black fly, always the black fly, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black fly picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. Black Toby fell to swearing 'cause the work was going slow, and the state of our morale, she was getting pretty low. The flies, they swarmed so heavy it was hard to catch your breath, and you staggered up and down the trail a-talking to yourself and to the black flies. Little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black flies picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. Now the bullcook's name, it was Blind River Joe. If it hadn't been for him, we'd have never pulled through. He bound up all our bruises and he kidded us for fun, and he lathered us with bacon grease and balsam gum. Oh, the black flies, little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black flies picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. At last the job was over and Black Toby said we're through. It was through with Abba-Tibby and the survey crew. 'Twas a wonderful experience and this I know. I'll never go again into North Ontario with the black flies. Little black flies, always the black flies, no matter where you go. I'll die with the black fly picking on my bones in North Ontario, North Ontario. North Ontario.
Yeah, that was a good song. Now let's talk about the news.
First, we're going to talk about the Wondercraft exoskeleton. So an exoskeleton is essentially a suit that's built around someone that can move their body for them. So this would be used for people with physical disabilities who are unable to use parts of their body. A prototype was developed by Wondercraft recently. They're a company that have been around since about 2010, but it took about 7 years of research and development to be able to make a prototype of this exoskeleton. And we're seeing now a huge increase of these exoskeletons being sold to rehabilitation centers and different universities and stuff for testing in Europe. So, Dave, do you think that this is something that will come to North America?
Yes, I think in Brantford, if one agency had one of them, they could help people walk that are in wheelchairs or they're learning to walk.
Perfect, yeah. So an agency like one that covers rehabilitation, one that covers maybe physical disabilities or such, can buy one of these exoskeletons in the future and have them, test them out, make sure that this is what people want, right?
Yeah, I think this would help many people that have spinal injury or people that need to do things by themselves, like independently.
Perfect. The one thing that you touched on before we were kind of recording this was that people can kneel down and sit down, right?
Yeah.
So the importance of that is people like, me, you, and maybe some of the listeners can kneel down when we drop something easily. Maybe not easily. Maybe it's not a fun activity for us, but we can still do it. However, people in wheelchairs might not have that ability to kneel down and grab something. So this fosters their independence, right?
And people that have a hard time walking would be able to use this equipment to do more jobs out in the community.
Does that mean that potentially it could be used for more than just people with physical disabilities? Maybe people who are older and losing their functions?
I think it would be great for them.
What about, or even Parkinson's disease, where people lose their, or multiple sclerosis, where they're their body is affected by, movement issues. Could this help them too?
I think it would help a lot.
I think that there's a lot that this technology is going to show us in the future, and I do think that this is a future technology that we all will be seeing and will be accustomed to. Our next featured song is by a young gentleman at the time named Colin Butler that advertised on the front of the LP, Canada's Young Singing Sensation. The song that we're playing today was written by Colin at the age of 12 about a family pet.
That was Colin Butler, the Peppy Song. Hey, Jarek, do you ever want to shop from your car?
Honestly, Dave, not really, but I can see that in the future this could be a potentially new thing in shopping malls. Around the world, we're seeing, because of the coronavirus pandemic, we're seeing a lot of malls open up, but not in the traditional manner of walking. They're opening up for cars to drive in and pick up. So the premise is, you go on your phone, you go to the shop that you want to go to, say it's Bed Bath & Beyond, you want to buy a candle, you want to buy some soap, you order it, and then you literally just drive up, roll down your window, show them the card. It's like curbside pickup, but the curb is inside of a mall. This is one that I don't know if this is going to catch on as much in North America. What do you think, Dave? Do you think that drive-in malls are going to be popular here?
I think it would help.
You think it would help? Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are lazy and don't want to get out of their car to walk, right?
Yeah.
Or, maybe I'm being a little judgmental here. Maybe there are people that can't get out of their car, right? And that would help them. Do you think that this is going to take over the mall market?
No, I think there's people that want to walk and do their shopping as well.
So do you think that this is more going to be for big cities like Toronto?
Yes.
Vancouver?
Yes.
So in your opinion, Dave, you think that these are going to be niche, small little malls that you, kind of tourist attractions that you'd go to?
Right.
That's what I think too. I don't think these are going to be particularly things that people are going to, they're going to want to go for the gimmick of it. I don't think this is going to be, a future talk segment that we're going to be talking about in the future. However, it is pretty interesting seeing how shopping has changed due to coronavirus. Hey, Dave?
Yeah.
For you do all your shopping online, right?
Right.
So that's the way it is.
Yep.
All right.
This song is called Changing of the Guard by Black Market.
So, Dave, what's up with this ore cam you were telling me about?
It's a thing that sits on your glasses that helps you read the paper or whatever you're looking at.
So, it's specifically designed for people who are visually impaired, you'd say?
Yes, or people that are learning to read or trying to read.
Interesting. So, it's a device that you clip onto the side of your glasses. I'd say it's about 2 inches. It's about the length of like the arm of your glasses. It sits there, and when you ask it, it reads your environment. When you ask it, what's in front of me, it will say a cup. You know, what are these words on the newspaper? And it'll read aloud saying the words from the newspaper. So I think it's really important for people that might have, you know, some sort of like either no vision or very, very close vision, or where they, you know, they have glasses that correct one part of their vision and this for another. But you were also saying an interesting part is it can help with learning to read.
Yes.
Right? Kind of like leapfrog back when we were kids.
Like I was thinking it would help people that are in grade 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, so they can read the words, and if they have trouble, they can say, what's the word?
Yes.
And it'll read it out.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool application, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would say that it would work for kids in the reading level, or even maybe for kids that, you know, are slower at reading, and maybe their reading level's lower than where they need to be. It can kind of be an acceleration for them.
Yeah.
It could also be used for people with learning disabilities who might have dyslexia. They might have a disorder where they find writing and reading really hard. So this would help them very easily, just plain out have it in a way that they can understand and, really benefit and, live a life that's more independent.
Yeah, I agree.
Our next artist is goes by the name of Maple Street. I assume that is the street that they would have grown up on. The song title is called Rednecks, White Socks, and Blue Ribbon Beer. I hope you enjoy.
There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. The barmaid is mad 'cause some guy made a pass. The jukebox is playing, there stands a glass, and the cigarette smoke hangs in the air. Rednecks, white socks and blue ribbon beer. The cowboys are cussing the pinball machine. A drunk at the bar's getting noisy and mean. And some guy on the phone says I'll be home soon, dear. Redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. Now we don't fit in with that white collar crowd. We're a little too rowdy and a little too loud. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. A semis are passing on the highway outside. The 4:30 crowd is about to arrive. The sun's going down and we'll all soon be here. Redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. No, we don't fit in with that white collar crowd. We're a little too rowdy and a little too loud. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here with my redneck, white socks and blue ribbon beer.
So let's talk about the Bissell Big Green commercial sweeper. Now, traditionally on a technology podcast, we wouldn't really be talking about, sweeping. However, this is kind of a cool sweeper, eh, Dave?
Yeah.
So-
I was wondering if I could ever use it in the movie theater to clean up the popcorn and the garbage that people leave behind.
No, exactly. So what this sweeper is, as like a street sweeper, you might see. I think more so in the States, but you will see people literally sweeping the sidewalk. This is kind of like a hybrid of a sweeper and a lawnmower to just get rid of all the rubble and litter that you see littered all over the streets in any city.
Yeah, there's a lot of litter bugs out there that might get a lot of stuff off the grass.
Oh, exactly, right? And it'll clean up, a city streets, but it could also be used for public parks, wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah.
It's, I think it's definitely a cool little fun technology that'll definitely change the way that workers on the street work. It'll probably make lives easier.
Yeah, I think so too.
The other thing too is if it becomes easier to sweep, maybe the streets will be a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
The one thing I do wonder is when it collects this rubble. It didn't really explain in our research where the rubble goes. I know it gets disintegrated and destroyed in however way that this machine does it, but what does it do with it after that, do you think?
I think it goes into a compartment where it goes into a bag.
Okay, kind of like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And then from there, you would take it to hopefully the dump and whatever. I think
Yeah.
the one thing where this is good is it's really good at picking up big amounts of garbage. However, the one downfall is you can't really sort out the recycling from garbage. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that could be recycled and reused that's just going to be tossed into this machine, ripped apart, and then that's it. We can't reuse it. Like if we find a can on the grounds, at least you can pick it up and be like, hey, I can bring that to a recycling center and it could be used again. When it's trashed up with a bunch of other trash, you're not going to be able to use it.
Right.
So that's definitely one thing we have to consider.
Yeah.
All right. So for our next story or segment here, let's talk about 3D printing. So, Dave, you know what 3D printing is, right?
Yep.
So what kind of, like, the things that you tend to have for 3D printing are little trinkets and toys.
Yep, but now they're making houses out of 3D printing.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
The houses at this point are being made in California, and they take up to 24 hours to actually build. That's pretty crazy, eh, Dave?
Yeah, without using wood, they're using a different material.
Exactly, so that makes it more sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So that means that we're not chopping down woods, we're not chopping down trees, we're probably using materials that have to still be mined and still be, you know...
And we're also... Oh, sorry.
No, it's alright, go.
And we're also saving the environment.
Exactly, right? So that's the main thing about these, right? Because we have such a huge population, which if you go into Dave's news, we actually have a video on overpopulation in China and some of the things they're doing to mitigate overpopulation. This is a thing where we're going to have to house a lot of people. Like, if you drive around Ontario, you're going to see a lot of homeless people, right, along the streets. These are people that can't afford homes.
Right.
So these homes are about $4,000 US.
I could even afford this house.
Exactly, right? So that means that you can pop up, and they take a little bit of area. So you could take a green space, like a park, and make it into a new communal home, new communal place for these people,
Right.
for people, right? And it doesn't have to be homeless. It doesn't, like you said, Dave, you're not homeless. You have a nice place, and you can
Right.
afford to do it, and you might even do it if you had the chance.
I might even think about registering for my own 3D house.
Exactly, right? The main thing, though, in Canada, where Dave and I are from, is that we need insulation for the winter. So this means that we would have to either, one, 3D print some sort of insulation for the winter to keep us warm, or have some sort of thing to keep that building warm, because you will freeze when it gets down to minus 30 here, right?
It could be my summer home.
Exactly. That's a good point, Dave. It could be like a cottage or a summer home. You can park it up north and, you know, in Ontario, like Muskoka region, even more north, and just live off of it for the summer and have another
Few months
home
of summer and come back when
to
it's
wherever.
winter. Yeah.
Or what some people do, maybe this could be an option for people in retirement situations where they might have a place in Florida for the winter. Now they can come to Canada, have a $4,000 home, you know, spend most of their winter and early spring in Florida, and then when it starts to warm up, fly back.
Yeah.
And then live in this cheap house. I mean, not cheap in the sense that it's going to fall apart, but cheap in economically.
Yeah.
Right? So you said you would live in it, eh, Dave?
Yeah, I like those kind of houses. They're pretty cool.
You like tiny houses?
I don't mind the size. I'm not picky on size.
Well, what's the most important thing for you in a house?
The cost, that it's not cheap. I mean, that it's not expensive.
Exactly, right? That's all you care about. And there's a lot of people in this world, they just kind of want a bed, some four walls, because they're going out and doing their things, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is also maybe even, we talk about how this can affect smaller communities and cities like our city, but think about in larger cities like Toronto, maybe there's a lot of people who go to work who just want to live in a tiny house who are like, you know what, I live in downtown Toronto, or I live in this part of Toronto, and maybe I don't need a big house, or I just want a little space to call my own because I'm out all day anyway. I'm out working, I'm out, socializing. When I get home, I'm usually sleeping anyway. This is another thing I was just thinking about too, is do you think they'll be able to 3D print apartments soon, Dave?
I don't think apartments would be safe to 3D print because of so much weight on the top floors, because the top floors it's gonna cave in from, the top floor is gonna cave in to the middle floor, and the middle floor is gonna cave into the bottom floor.
So essentially everyone would just be crushed, you'd say.
Yeah.
But that's right now. Maybe in the future we'll have a technology where the 3D printing will be really strong, and it will be like a cement, or
it needs to be thicker stuff around the house to make it strong enough to hold up the whole apartment.
So realistically, this isn't something we're going to see in the next 2 years. Maybe this is something we'll see in 30 years.
Probably 10.
10. Yeah, I'd say about that. Maybe about 10 years we're going to start to see more of an increase in 3D printing.
Yeah.
And 3D printing houses. The other thing I was just kind of thinking about too, Dave, is do you think we'd ever be able to 3D print like a car?
I think it could happen, yes.
It might not be the most, this complex car in the world, but it might be something that'd move.
I think if they were to build a 3D car, it would be a lot of sanding after.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
To make it smooth.
Yeah, I think there would be a lot of logistics about it, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Our last song for this evening is called Taste and See by Dan Smith.